talking about a Saturday morning after school special style program here, and they tend to make that button on the episode a summary of like, here's what we learned today. Hell, G.I. Joe even had a kind of like Jerry's final words segment at the end of the episode to be like, listen here, you little shits. Here's what we were trying to teach you this week.
Now we know.
And knowing is half the battle.
G.I. Joe!
Perhaps I could use this as an excuse to go to those far-off planets with little polka-dotted people if necessary, and be able to talk about love, war, nature, God, sex, all those things that go to make up the excitement of the human condition.
I'm Captain James Kirk.
Captain Kirk.
Of the Starship Enterprise.
And the ineluctable Mr. Spock.
Mr. Spock, my first officer.
Dr. Spock of
I can't imagine.
Kirk. Of the Starship Enterprise.
Did I ever tell you about the time I saved Captain Kirk's life?
Kirk. Of the Starship Enterprise.
What a blessing to be able to live one's life over again. If the life you've led has left you unfulfilled.
Nuchnek. And welcome to Humanist Trek. It's a Star Trek podcast about the humanism in Star Trek. I'm Sarah Ray.
And I'm Allie Ashmead.
And I want to tell you about an event I did recently.
Okay.
That has inspired me to move the ball a little bit forward on the business idea. So.
Okay. Let's hear.
So as you may know, I am also the board president of the Humanist Society. And for those of you just tuning in, the Humanist Society is a U.S.-based nonprofit that is recognized by the IRS as a nonprofit and a church for our religious purposes, which are, and I'll use the religious language, we don't use this, but the ordaining of clergy, essentially. So we endorse individuals to be humanist celebrants, and celebrants are the ones who are legally authorized to solemnize marriages. We also do memorials and baby namings and trans-related milestone things, like anything that's
ceremony.
Yeah. Our former president used to say, cradle to grave. If there's a milestone in life that is something that is a shared human experience that we can create new traditions to come together and bond around. That's what a humanist celebrant does. We also endorse humanist chaplains who work in medical and military and prisons, that sort of thing, and some other things, but primarily those two are the big ones. And so in order to help promote the fact that we exist and that if you are all out there planning ceremony type services, that you should look at a humanist celebrant as a person to help lead such a ceremony. In order to help get the word out about that, we recently tabled at an event here in Denver. It's the Rainbow Wedding Network.
Oh, cool.
And they do several of these wedding expos all over the country. It's this sweet couple that run the thing and one of them was there, Cindy. She's just adorable. And at first she wasn't sure who we were. And so, we introduced ourselves. She says, oh, the Humanist Society. Yes. Oh, I'm so glad you guys are here. We have never had anybody like this table at one of our events. And she was like, my parents were humanists and on and on and on and on. And I was just like,
and no one from the Humanists ever?
Wow. So that's a thing that I'm doing for the Humanist Society. I'm working on promoting our endorsees. That got me thinking, Allie, we should be doing Star Trek weddings.
Oh, God.
We really should be doing Star Trek
probably.
weddings. So this is an LGBTQ wedding expo, right? And so I think the willingness to or interest in departing from tradition is higher among that particular segment of the population than an average, right? We have people who were interested in like hand fasting rituals and pagan things and like all kinds, just across the board, all kinds of stuff. And what's great about humanist celebrants is that for the most part, I think all of us are pretty much up for anything. Like if it gives meaning to you and your ceremony, then let's do it, But yeah, one of those things could most certainly be sci-fi themed weddings.
Yeah. We could totally do a Vulcan, that ceremony that Spock did in a mock time.
That would be amazing. If you're listening to this and you have a wedding and where you're going to do that and you do not invite us, you are
We'd be
in
mad.
very big trouble, mister.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Yeah.
All right. That's something to think about. We'd
Uh-huh.
have to have so much equipment. We'd have to accumulate
Here's the thing.
some stuff. If you are going to give someone a Star Trek experience,
Oh, yes.
then you've got to do a little bit of planning and ceremony and we would also have to do research and make sure if it's a Bajoran wedding or
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
There's things that we would have to make sure we try to get right because there might be some true fans who might come up after the ceremony and be like, man, you didn't do that correctly.
That's great.
And you don't want to be that person. So if we do it, we want to do it right.
Yeah.
Take the proper care.
We might have to take the Klingon Duolingo class.
No, God. Hey, I would read someone's vows in Klingon.
Hell yes.
That's what they wanted.
Hell yes.
It would sound very angry, but I would do it. Totally do it.
Oh, so the great thing about you could do this with the Star Trek wedding too, but just kind of the humanist approach to weddings in general is the idea that it really can take any shape. It can take any form that your mind can dream up. It can look like anything you want it to look like.
Right.
It can change from one form to another. Well, let's get into this week's episode. It's Star Trek, the Animated Series, Season 1, Episode 14, The Slaver Weapon.
Sir, contact with an object. It's moving toward us. No visual contact yet.
Deflectors, full intensity.
Sulu, yes, Captain. Anything on your scanners?
It's coming at light speed.
Collision course. Visual contact.
Anything, over?
All wavelengths dominated by ionization effects, sir.
All engines full stop.
Sarah, what did you think?
What did I think?
What did you think this when you read the title? What did you think it was about?
I wasn't really sure, but I assumed it had something to do with a Nazi weapon. I don't know.
Yeah, I was thinking it was some weapon that enslaved people or did something, and I thought,
like
oh,
a
this
mind
is gonna be about slavery.
control belt thing or something. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought. We were wrong.
What was that planet where the gamesters of Triskelion? None of that
No,
in here? No.
nothing.
Nope.
Nope.
I did research for this episode. Did you do any research for this episode?
A little bit.
Okay. So right off the bat, I want to say the story is credited on screen as written by Larry Niven, adapted from the story The Soft Weapon. So I went down that rabbit hole and found that Niven was a sci-fi writer and familiar of DC Fontana who pushed to bring him in. He offered a couple of ideas that didn't go anywhere, and Gene was like, why don't you just use this thing you've already wrote and change it to be about our characters? And what I read was that he wasn't so sure at first about giving the species to the Star Trek universe. And I get that as a person who creates things, that feeling of this is my baby, this is my creation, and I just want to hand it over.
Once it goes under the Star Trek umbrella, it's no longer his anymore.
But in the end, he decided to gift the Kazinti to Trek because he thought it would be fun to see what others would do with them. And other than being included in some star chart graphics, they come back in a comic strip, which Niven co-wrote, and then again in Lower Decks, which is another great reason to save Lower Decks. Save Lower Decks.
Lower Decks. Yeah, agree. Otherwise, I don't know that I've heard of the Kazinti other than this episode and then now in Lower Decks.
Yeah. How cool is it for future show? This is a deep, deep cut to come all the way back to this animated series episode that hardly nobody watched and pull some shit out from there. This is what we talked about a couple weeks ago. Star Trek fans making Star Trek.
Because we are always saying, well, whatever happened to?
Yeah.
And I want to see something happened with the giant clone Spock. Like, what the fuck ever happened to him? They just dropped him on. I want to know what happens. So, if anyone's out there that's writing, make a story about giant clone Spock.
Well, this week's adventure starts aboard the shuttlecraft Copernicus, where Spock, Sulu, and Uhura are delivering an important artifact to Starbase 25, a slaver stasis box discovered by archaeologists on the planet Kazin.
It's an away mission with all the ethnic people, right? You got Sulu, you've got Uhura, and you've got Spock. They're all. I'm like,
this is the shit assignment that nobody else wanted to do, and that's why these are the specific people who got sent to do it.
Yep. Give it to the brown people. Give it to the
Yeah. Oh no, absolutely.
It does sound dangerous because this stasis box.
It sounds dangerous, but it looks like an Amazon package. It's like this. It's like this
radioactive
yellow,
Amazon package. Yeah.
This conversation between Spock and Uhura is quite the info dump for the top of the episode. We learn a whole bunch of shit here. The slavers, whoever they were, ruled over all other intelligent beings in the galaxy 1 billion years ago, and they produced these stasis boxes inside which time stands still. And at some point, one of these subjugated races pushed back, war broke out, and Spock says every one of the beings on both sides of the conflict were exterminated.
Somebody pushed the button on the nuclear weapon.
Nuclear weapon.
But somehow they had the forethought to create these boxes that would retain some of their ancient knowledge or whatever.
Here's another did you as a child, and this is probably my middle-class white upbringing in the Midwest. I can remember in like 1986 or 87, something like that, I was in elementary school, and we did a time capsule. We did like everybody gathers all the little things to put in the box, and I can't remember if we dug one up and then added our thing and put it in. I don't remember, but I distinctly remember there being and you had to like vote on what things you wanted to go into the box or something like that. I don't even remember, but
I did one too when I was in elementary school too, a few years before you did because I'm older. I cannot for the life of me remember what I put in it. I think we all got to put something in it per class.
Right.
But I don't know where it was buried. I have no idea if we dug one up. I have no fucking clue what happened to it.
Well, that's what this thing reminds me of, this entire episode.
So they're, trekking across the universe. They
trekking across the universe.
They pass a system called Beta Lyra, and the box starts glowing. And Spock ascertains that it's picking up another stasis box. The only known stasis box detector is another stasis box, so that's why it's glowing.
This whole thing was just ridiculous. This box starts glowing, and somehow Spock has determined that not just that, there must be another box nearby, but, quote, there's another box circling Beta Lyrae. How do you know it's circling? How do you know it's...
I was thinking, when he said that, I was thinking, there's a box floating out in space. But that was not the case.
No. And then to bookend this discussion of these boxes, we get another Spock off-camera monologue. The boxes and their contents are all that is left of this species from 1 billion years ago. Inside one, they found a flying belt, which was the key to figuring out artificial gravity on starships. Another one had a bomb inside with the pin pulled. And while we don't hear what the outcome of opening that box was, the possible dangers have made these boxes a property of Starfleet, and only specialists get to handle them.
And since they're rare, they found their second one. The one they found by accident. And now because they have a box, they're picking up another one.
How did they find the one by accident, Allie? The only box detector is another box.
I don't know, Margot.
Because I think they were digging. They were digging on Kazin, and then the archaeologists found it.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
Why am I defending them? I don't
know. Cut to an icy planet surface where our team have arrived to search for the new box with the tricorder. It's 30 meters below them.
In the ice. And of course, we find that the phasers have another handy dandy function in it that they can melt through ice and boil it within a matter of minutes.
I also want to file an objection here, Your Honor. If the tricorder can find the box, if you open the tricorder and it says, oh, the box is 30 meters below us, then
technically you don't need a fucking other box.
You said
good point.
that only a stasis box can find another stasis box. These are your rules. I didn't make these rules. Y'all made these rules up, and and I can stay within them.
You're exactly right.
But we're literally, 3 minutes into the episode, and
you already have an objection.
Rules are out the window. So Sulu's ready to melt some ice with his heater. Should be pretty easy to do, but suddenly the locals pop up from behind some ice formations and stun our heroes.
These locals are cat-like creatures, pretty large. They're in pink suits, accented with purple, with these sort of like space bubble helmets.
Spock speaks off camera again, taking full responsibility for his fuck up, realizing that his interest in discovering a second box clouded his judgment. And now, not only do they not have this newly discovered box, they also don't have the one they started with either.
And they're also laying on the floor on this sort of platform that looks like a spider web, and they can't move.
And this whole cat Zenti problem. The cat people.
Cat Zenti?
Yeah. The cat Zenti aren't supposed to have weapons, except for their police. Okay, so maybe this was the police? They have a police web and heaters. Why assume they're breaking a treaty here?
That's a good point.
This next plan is just way out there. So 3 cat people come into the room, and the one at the rear looks like they must have been awake for about 12 days. And Spock's explanation of this is that this one must be the telepath. And Uhura's like, yeah, I've heard about the cat Zenti telepaths. They're unhappy neurotics.
Sounds like a cat. Spock knows a lot about these Kazentis, a lot about what they think and how they react. He's basically giving Uhura and Sulu pointers of what to do and what not to do. So Kazentis are not going to deal with Spock or Lieutenant Uhura. They are considered inferior. Kazenti are also meat eaters. So he tells Sulu, if you sense him reading your mind, think of vegetables. think of eating vegetables. Somehow that would put them off. So Spock and Uhura are the lowly inferior beings, and so they're going to go to Sulu. He tells Uhura, try to look harmless because you're a woman. They don't. And she's like, why? And he says, well, you must be forgetting that their Kazindi females are dumb animals. I'm like, whoa. They don't regard females, I guess, of any culture as, intelligent.
Her response was great, though, because she's like, well, gee, thanks, Spock. Thanks a lot. And Spock's reply is about as emotional as he gets without spitting plants or other outside influences. He says, I value your intelligence, but we might be able to trick these people and escape if they think you're a fucking idiot. So
pretty much. Yeah.
One of the cat Zentis orders them to identify themselves, and Sulu takes point here, introducing himself and then Spock. And sure enough, the cat Zenti is like, Vulcan, huh? Well, you're a plant eater, so I see no reason to care about you. Human, though, you must eat meat. I found it interesting the way, this vegetarian, veganism, whatever, was being reflected into the show, and it gives it, come along on this weed journey with me. It made me think about New Trek.
Put the pen down, Sarah.
It makes me think about, should we envision future humanity as a vegan one? Or Or I assume like with, replicators and whatnots that we're just eating the future of lab grown meat today or whatever, so like there's no animal or plant material involved. It's all genetically made in a lab or something. I don't know. Like,
I'm really shocked that that was even like on the radar back then.
yeah.
And to the point where like chuffed Captain Kat Zinti was like repulsed by the thought of a non-meat eater.
Yeah.
You're not like me. I don't even want to talk to you. Anyway, that's a whole nother episode of like ethical versus do we have to eat it? But yeah.
That's Humanist Trek After Dark.
Well, we talk about meat and vegetables.
I hadn't thought of veganism in the context of the Star Trek universe at all until this moment. So this cat introduces himself as Chuff Captain of the privateer Traitor's Claw, a stolen police vessel. So that explains that police spiderweb thing and all of the other accoutrements.
Sulu kind of gets smart and he's like, well, stealing must be a habit for you. Now you got this ship, you've got 2 stasis boxes. And the Chuff Captain is like, well, the Kazinti archaeologists actually found both boxes, but one we managed to keep was empty, which we used as bait to get you guys in here. And the other one you have.
So if they used this box as bait to lure whoever had another box in, is that all these cats do with their time? Do they just sit around a planet like licking themselves and hoping somebody stops by with another box? How long has this been going on?
It's a shiny box, they just want some shiny stuff.
They just need a box to sit in. That's what it is. It's a cat box. God damn it, I didn't get that until just now. It's a cat box.
God. Oh my God, it is.
God.
Sulu brings up a little kind of like a sticking point with them that the Kazinti fought 4 wars with humans and lost all of them. And the last one was 200 years ago, so you haven't learned anything. And then Chuff Captain's like, shut your fucking mouth, Sulu, or we'll eat you.
Sulu throws shade at them again for stealing all of this shit. Police cruiser, a couple boxes from the evidence room. But these cats see this as a possible turning point for them. If they're captured by the Cat Zenti and this box is empty or has like some elementary school tchotchkes from a 1987 time capsule or something, then they're fucked. But if there's a weapon in there, they'll be hailed as heroes and the Cat Zenti can demolish humans forever.
Weapon. They need a weapon.
Why do you say it like that? Weapon.
Weapon.
Will Wheaton. So they had this war with the humans. Earth? Starfleet? The Federation? Is this another one of those like interchangeable plug and play words that like we talked about?
Like when? When did this happen?
Yeah. He also gives Sulu a warning to watch his fucking mouth because the cats on this ship have never tasted human meat like their ancestors. He's like, just go on, give me a reason to eat you. So they light this 1987 time capsule box up with some kind of beam and slide the lid off. And sure enough, the first thing they pull out is a photo of some green one-eyed swamp monster thing.
Yeah.
This is a Scooby-Doo villain if I have ever seen one, right? Like Fred and the gang pull this mask off and there's old man Jenkins the whole time or whatever.
And why a photo?
Yeah.
In the box, but okay. Not one of those discs, like floppy disks. It's a photo. Sulu, could that be a picture of the slaver?
Yeah, because this is a race so old no one has ever seen them, and I guess there is no other record of them, like visual record.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the next thing was a piece of meat, a fresh piece of meat that looks like it hadn't been in the box for 1,000,000 years.
And the last item they take out of this box is what appears to be a weapon. But it looked to me like a watermelon with a handle on it. So,
it's a bright green, looks like a child toy weapon.
And then on the handle, there's like this slider, like on a mixing board that you select the different settings from. Chuffed Captain's like, take a good look, human. This might be the end of you. And again, Spock raises his hand and he's like, as we've already established, as a Vulcan, I am not a meat eater, and nor am I one of these humans that you guys keep getting in fights with so much. So, very much agree with you on hating the humans, by the way. So our business seems to be done here. I'll just be on my way.
Yeah, I'm just gonna go, you know. Spock makes a quick supplemental log that the Kazintis now have a weapon that's potentially deadly to the entire galaxy. We don't really know what it does.
They've moved the Starfleets to the planet and intend to use them as lab rats to figure out what this new weapon does. We learn a little bit more about this telepath. He has been able to read a little bit of Sulu's mind, but it's all just swashbuckling sword fights and rare plants.
Does it have to be human? Does it have to be mine?
Not without some difficulty, though. And he does talk about how Uhura's just a female, so, she's not worth it. And he's like, the Vulcan is one of those California vegan, peace-loving hippie freaks, so you're not going to make me read his mind, are you?
And apparently it takes a lot out of him every time he does read a mind. So that's good to know that it takes a lot of energy and he has to recover every time. So they've put them out. They've taken the police web and they've put them out in the snow. And so all three of them are stuck on this police web. And then basically what they're going to do is test out the weapon. They're going to fuck with the settings and see what happens.
As for the other items in the time capsule, they tested the meat and determined it's protoplasmic and poisonous. And the picture of the Florida Gator man, they all agree, is probably a slaver. So this captain starts flipping switches and mashing buttons on this device, and each time it changes form, but it doesn't really do anything. So he asks the telepath if anything is happening in Sulu, and already this telepath cat is like super weak. He's like begging don't make me read any more minds, please, dear God. Sulu's making me taste yellow root munched between flat teeth. And he's like, I can't take me out back and put me out of my misery.
He says all that he's picked up is there's a vibration in his belt and that's it.
I got to talk about the telepath cat a little bit here because once again, I'm reminded of that cat from He-Man, like He-Man's actual name is Adam, right? And then the whole He-Man shtick is like his WWF persona or whatever. And so Battle Cat is the same way. And I had forgotten this, but before they Power of Grayskull or whatever, the tiger's name is Cringer. And he's this wimpy little shit and like always cowering and shaking and is terrified of everything. And then I have the Power of Grayskull or whatever, and then he becomes this badass battle cat. I had completely forgotten about that.
Can we also talk about the pink ship and the pink attire that these cats have? The ship is fucking pink.
This is that color. I mean, it's this Pepto-Bismol pink that they come back to time and again.
Yep.
Yeah. He keeps poking buttons and the device keeps changing shape. And if you pay close attention, there are a lot of continuity issues in the way this sequence of device changes happens between cuts. It like changes and then goes back and then changes again. And then it's all over the place. But anyway, it changes to form of small telescope. and I thought this was fun, how they animated this thing. So the audience is looking straight onto the telescope and can see, see the enlarged telescope lens, viewfinder, whatever. And then it's tight on Sulu and then it lifts up into the sky. I thought that was a great effect.
Yeah, that is pretty good. None of the things so far seem to be weapons. They can't make it fire anything. They can't make it do anything. They do another change and it becomes some sort of rocket where it's got fire shooting out of the ends of it, and then it starts pulling the chuffed captain along, so he's shooting off through the air, and he somehow knocks Uhura off of the web. So once she's off the web, they're no longer immobilized, so they can move. So while he's doing all that, she kind of starts to try to tiptoe away.
He also bumps into the telepath, and now he's got a tear in his EV suit. Chuffed Captain prioritizes recapturing Uhura, though, because he remembers that human females are intelligent.
God damn. And so she gets shot. But then because the telepath suit has lost pressure, they got to go back to the ship to save him.
This whole sequence felt really long to me. And
Yeah.
I don't know if it was the time dilation in my brain or if it was just a really, really long sequence that just went on far too long. But all of this, like, device changing from one thing to the next. At one point, it was a laser, and Sulu's like, a laser? Really? That's all this thing you got? Like, the Federation has had those for over 100 years.
Yeah.
It just went on and on and on.
And so finally, they've recaptured Uhura. She's back on the web. Now they turn it into some sort of ball with some loops sticking out on either side, and Uhura goes, uh-oh. And then whatever it does, they can't see anything happening, but whatever it does, it kind of disables this light in the tunnel where their ship was parked. And they surmise that it's some sort of energy absorber. And so the web is off, everything mechanical is off, and they can now move.
So now that they have an advantage, Spock's like, Serpentine! Go, go, go!
What?
He says, don't forget to zigzag.
No, that's right. He's like, that's what you do for crocodiles, which Mythbusters actually busted that myth. But he's like, okay, now move. And he goes and kicks Chuff Captain in the ribs, and he grabs the weapon. Sulu and Uhura take off running. And he does tell him to zigzag, which I have no clue why, but whatever.
Do cats, like, is that how you're supposed to run if you're running away from a tiger? The cats are able to zap Uhura with a heater. So now Spock has Sulu in the device, and the Katzenti have Uhura.
And she's been shot twice. She's like, okay, y'all, I'm over this.
But Spock is working a psychological angle here. Remember how we built up the culture of these cat people? Meat eaters, pretty prideful. And so Spock, an herbivore, kicking the chuffed captain's ass was bad enough, but then Spock left him alive to live with this profound embarrassment. In fact, when the other cat asked what happened, chuffed captain was like, I don't want to talk about it.
This sounds like the Klingons in a way, because they're all about honor.
Yeah.
Their honor is at stake. And so they are going to probably seek personal revenge before they go call another Kazenti for help, because it'd be embarrassing.
Spock and Sulu have a moment to discuss this weapon, and while Spock thinks it's impossible to determine its use with the data that we have so far, Sulu thinks it's spycraft. Think about it. The only thing that might have even worked as a weapon was that weak-ass laser. Everything else wouldn't be of any use to a soldier. But a spy? Maybe. We only know like two of the things, was a laser and then the eyeglass. But
yeah.
Okay. Well, if it's a spy tool, Spock thinks it must have a self-destruct setting to keep it from falling into enemy hands. And so he starts flipping switches. What the fuck, man?
I know. And Sulu's like, but we've seen all the settings. And Spock's like, no, this one, not this one. There's some sort of null setting, apparently. But it doesn't seem to do anything. But he's like, well, why is it here?
Suddenly, the planet Hoth starts shaking, and the Kadzenti ship rises up from the surface, and they blow in a call to Sulu. We have a prisoner. You have the weapon. We can do this the easy way or the hard way. This was stupid. So Sulu answers the phone, and for some reason, he brings up Spock. And Spock's like, bruh, didn't nobody say nothing about Spock? Shut up, man. This was about Uhura and the weapon. Why you got to bring me into it like that? And so Sulu's like, well, what's going to happen to Spock? Oh, well, the chuffed captain's plan here is trial by combat. Mano y gato.
No. Sulu still says he's not interested. But then the chuff captain says, okay, well, he broke my fucking ribs and I want revenge, basically. But I'm offering you, like, me in my weakened state, I will fight him. But he's got to do it, I guess, for his honor.
Right. This is very Klingon. This is very like, why did you, leave me to die a coward's death? I want to die in the fight kind of thing.
Right. Back on the planet's surface, Spock is telling Sulu he basically knew exactly where to kick him, right over the heart, and he's computing his odds are 16-1.
Sulu refuses again, and a quick exchange between Uhura and the chuffed captain reveals quite a bit. The chuffed captain is like, wow, your friends don't think much of you, do they? And Uhura says, wrong. They don't think much of you. Hell yes. Another device setting, and this time it looks like we've got a weapon. Sulu aims into the far distance and fires off an explosion that might best be compared to a nuclear bomb.
Nuclear weapon?
Yeah. Before he does, he's like, now let's see what this does. And next thing you know, the whole fucking planet's shaking. And Sulu's like, we can't give him that. No.
And also Spock just said, oh, it's probably got a self-destruct mechanism in it. Here, Sulu, pull the trigger. What?
This doesn't make any sense. This doesn't make any sense. But Spock sees this as, he says, fascinating. It's a total conversion of matter to energy at a distance. So yeah, that's a fucking nuclear bomb. But the eruption comes, I guess, you know how like nuclear bombs, there's like that wave of
blast.
Wind that fucking comes and suddenly they have to hit the dirt because they're being blown away. But then they lose the weapon and the blast knocks them over, and then they're back to being captured by the Kzinti.
And the weapon also changes back into its weed pipe shaped form. Yeah.
It's a bomb.
Back on the Kzinti ship, all three officers are on the spider web carpet again, and the cats have the weapon, and it seems like they've found yet another setting, and this time a light on the device starts beeping and flashing in like what had to be Morse code, and then it suddenly
you know how cats are, they're like
very scary, like as if someone threw a cucumber into the middle of the room.
They all jump and scatter.
Don't do that to your cats, friends. That's a dick move. It's mean.
Hilarious. But I have tried it. I have tried it. They did not give a shit. It doesn't work.
So then the device starts speaking, and it says it doesn't know how long it's been turned off because time doesn't pass for it when the power's off. But the last thing it remembers was that they were on a mission. Everything else is classified, though. Can't tell you unless you know the password. The password is...
Rose.
The password is Wittershins. What? Okay.
Oh my god. Okay.
So the cats try to ask about its location, the position of the stars. Maybe they could calculate how much time has passed since it was turned off. All that's classified too. And then the cats start asking about that total conversion beam setting. How do you get that switched back over? Because that was pretty neat. We'd like to try that one more time. And the device says, twist my Wittershins until you reach the null position.
That's what I say to all my lovers.
Oh my.
Twist my Wittershins. I'm like, what?
Oh my god. Okay. Wittershins is Scottish for counterclockwise. But why the fuck is it in this episode?
Scotty. Yeah, it's like ambergris.
Oh
Who knows?
God.
Nobody knows.
I'm telling you, this is like somebody looked down at their word of the day calendar while they were writing an episode and were like, oh, Wittershins, holy shit, we got to work that in here.
Yeah, I've got a bet with some guy over here that I can't get this word in this episode. Twist my Wittershins. Ooh, well, twist my Wittershins. Okay, this is what I'm going to say from now on.
That is a shirt.
Twist my Wittershins. I think so. That is a t-shirt, and Wittershins is maybe that's a band name.
Yes,
Can you
absolutely.
can you get a shirt design and can we order it before the con? I don't know.
Ooh, I
Maybe
don't
not.
know. The other thing that this little device reminded me of, and they kept calling it a weapon, and I kept typing device up until this point because I had yet to see the evidence of a weapon.
Mm-hmm.
But it also looked kind of like a Bop It. Twist
What's a
it.
Bop It?
It commands, you obey.
Twist it. Flip
Pull
it. Bop it.
Man, that looks easy.
Sure, it looks easy, but it's not.
You didn't play that ever?
No.
I'm gonna
I
send you
think
the commercial now.
this must be white children. I don't know.
No, come on. I bet they have some ethnic kids in the commercial.
I don't know. A Bop It? But like, was it in the 80s?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh, and 90s too. I think they still make them. Okay, hold on.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's a Hasbro game, and it's got the original one was like
Is it like a it looks like a
the original one looked kind of phallic, and it it had like
It
things
looks
on the
like a
ends, and you
steering wheel?
yeah, that's like one of the newer ones. So each one of those, like that orange thing is like spin it, and the green thing is like pull it, and I don't know, but anyway, so you push the button and it's like Simon, it tells you what to do. It says pop it, twist it, spin it, and so then you got to pop it, twist it, spin it, and then each time it adds like more difficulty. No, wow.
No.
All right, well, your homework for tonight is to watch a commercial
Bop It
for
commercial.
Bop It. Yeah. Anyway, the aliens twist the Bop It and it changes, but Spock notices that it changed into an entirely new form again, not the weapon that they had tested out. Now it's got like two things coming out of the top of it.
And Spock says, most peculiar. Most peculiar.
Where is that music coming from?
Not from anywhere on the ship.
The Katzenti leave with the weapon, and on the planet, Chuff Captain's like, there's no scope. What am I supposed to aim? How do I aim this damn thing? Like, what am I supposed to do? Rock up in my dad jeans, one hand in my pocket, and casually rip off a few rounds, earning us the silver medal? Back on the Kazenti ship, Uhura seems worried that they've let the weapon fall into the wrong hands. But Spock is playing chess, and he's already like a few moves ahead. Spock's like, okay, close your eyes and imagine you're a slaver war computer. You've been powered off, and you were powered off during a time of war.
Mm-hmm.
You've been off for God knows how long. Suddenly, a strange alien you've never seen before turns you back on and starts poking your buttons and like mashing the keyboard and doesn't know your Windows Hello pin, facial recognition, biometric locks. Nothing works. What would you think? And Uhura's like, oh, yeah, I would probably assume I'd been captured by the enemy. So Spock has worked out that, this device is intelligent and intelligent enough to figure out that it's in enemy hands. And so it's not changing to form of giant fucking explosion weapon.
And he's like, and when they asked you how, like, he's still talking to Uhura, like, if they asked you how to find your most powerful weapon, what would you give them? Then we hear a boom, and then there was a crater to where the Kazenti were standing.
And there's even a chunk of the Kazenti ship missing.
Mm-hmm.
And blew the whole forward, like 10 forward is gone.
Yeah.
On that ship. The weapon is gone too.
He made perfect sense. And I was like, I didn't even think of it that way, but what would you do if you had something really dangerous and you didn't want it to fall in the wrong hands? That's exactly what I would do. I'd fucking make sure it would blow up and take everybody with them.
So the weapon is gone. Sulu thinks it would have looked nice in a museum, but Spock reminds us that there are bad people in the world just waiting to get their hands on killer tech like this. So if it wasn't the Katzenti, it would have been the Klingons or the Romulans or whoever else.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's better that it's gone forever. The button on the episode, on the shuttlecraft heading home, Spock is musing about how close they came to restarting an ancient war between man and Katzenti. Uhura says, didn't you say something earlier about these cats and their legends of weapons haunted by their dead owners. Didn't really do much with that throwaway line earlier. Maybe we could bring it back right now. And Spock's like, yes, an ancient superstition. To which Uhura concludes, at this rate, they'll never get over those old superstitions. Was this episode about that at all?
Boy, I'm sure glad that's over with.
I'm happy the affair is over.
Me too.
A most annoying, emotional episode.
Yeah, but you know, I learned something today.
When dreams become more important than reality, you give up travel, building, creating.
One jealous god, if all this makes a god.
By sparing your helpless enemy, who surely would have destroyed you, you demonstrated the advanced trait of mercy.
Frankly, I was rather dismayed by your use of the term half-breed. You must admit, it is an unsophisticated expression.
I don't know. What?
I want to read the original story and compare it to whatever the fuck this was.
You mean the soft weapon? The original?
Yeah.
Written by Niven?
There were so many story threads that just went nowhere. You know, we're talking about a Saturday morning after school special style program here, and they tend to make that button on the episode a summary of like, here's what we learned today. Hell, G.I. Joe even had a kind of like Jerry's final words segment at the end of the episode to be like, listen here, you little shits. Here's what we were trying to teach you this week.
Now we know.
And knowing is half the battle.
G.I. Joe!
They didn't do any of that.
I need that guy right now.
Yeah.
Because somebody fucking tell me. Well, I mean, it's obviously you don't mess with weapons that you don't know how they work. Duh. Other than that, I mean, it's the same old try to keep something dangerous out of some evildoers' hands. WMDs.
Nuclear weapon?
I don't fucking know. I don't know.
It does make you think about, are there devastating weapons we should all put into boxes and never take out again? Yeah, probably.
Any of the nuclear warfare, all of those biological weapons that we wish we had never.
Yes, agreed.
We know they exist and we know we've made them, and we hope to God never to have to use them, because it's not going to just hurt the enemy. It's going to hurt everybody.
Yeah. I would have liked to learn a little bit more about the Katzenti Wars with humans.
Mm-hmm.
That seems like a rich history that was just a throwaway line in the episode that could have been delved into more.
Yeah, was it just that they wanted to eat us?
Right.
I mean,
was it just predator prey? Is that what it was? Yeah.
Right, was it something else?
I would have liked to learn more about the slavers, whose episode title this made me think it was going to be about.
Exactly. Nothing.
Nothing.
Other than they were some sort of reptilian, one-eyed purple people eater.
It was a one-eyed, one-horned, flying purple people eater.
Green people eater. I don't know.
Yeah.
That would have been interesting.
Why did they choose the things they chose to put in the time capsule? Why a go-go gadget anything device, like kind of anything you want it to be, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Why a piece of meat?
A piece of meat that's poisoned, I guess, so that if somebody opens it, they eat it and they die, and then they don't get your tech. I don't know. Was that a booby trap for the box? And why a fucking picture? What?
I don't know. What did we just watch? I have no idea.
Oh my god! Listener, we're nearing the end of our broadcast day. It's about time for the national anthem and static. That's a joke directed at a certain generation. But what the fuck just happened?
I don't know.
If you could put something into a time capsule that would never degrade, it would never decay, it would, millions of years from now, people could open it up and take the thing out of it in exact condition that you left it, what would you put in that box?
I don't know. A bong? I put in my bong. my glass pipe. I don't know. If I knew it wouldn't degrade, I have no idea. It depends on what I would want to tell that generation.
Right. So if I think of it in the context of communicating to a future people or a somewhere else in the galaxy people, I think of the Voyager spacecraft, and we've put a golden LP of fucking Elton John's greatest hits or whatever. Like we sent a record into space with instructions for here's how to wind it up and make it play if you ever collect this thing. And I don't know, it's just interesting to think about like in different ages of human development what we might leave behind, in a time where you might have done that. Now we have computers and like we have the technology to record and store data that we might want someone else to find is a whole lot more than a record. Like imagine how quick, like how much we've advanced in just a short amount of time, and how each generation might think differently about what we'd put in that box. That's interesting.
Yeah. And I know that we've already transmitted like music out into space because that is mathematical.
Yeah.
But it's also part of our culture. I mean, I suppose that's probably something I would put in there is some of my favorite songs.
The Sounds of Humanist Trek Spotify playlist.
All the songs that we've just, the silly songs that we've
burst into in the middle of a thought. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you have an idea for what you'd like to put in the box, you can shoot us an email, give us a call, 920-550-TREK, 920-550-8735. I don't know what I would put in the box.
I know we shouldn't put in the box Chicago's 1920s, 30s Chicago Monsters book, because we know how that works. So yeah, we got to be careful that like whoever opens it doesn't like take it the wrong way and say, oh, this is God, and then they build a fucking civilization off of it. So yeah.
Well done. That was a fantastic callback. Well done.
Let's get right to business.
Fine, I'm authorized to pay an equitable price. Federation has invested a great deal of money in our training. They're about due for a small return.
Listen, we pay our percentages. We're entitled to a little service for our money, huh?
Is this the way your citizens do business? Their right of petition?
They pay their percentages and the boss takes care of them.
Is there anything else?
All right, so we want to thank all of our patrons. We especially want to thank our founding admirals, Russell, Allie, Peter, Sarah, and Sherry.
Well, hello there, interstellar wanderers. Guinan here, your favorite purveyor of wisdom and cosmic cocktails. Now, I've got something to tell you about a little podcast called Humanist Trek. I know. I usually deal with real-life space-time drama at 10 Forward, but this one's worth a listen. You see, they're on a mission. Laughter, exploration, and all that jazz. First off, leave a review, share the love like it's the secret ingredient in a warp core breach. Spread it around, and let the galaxy know what's what. For those feeling a bit more philanthropic and just wanting to splurge some Federation credits, become a patron. It's like having a backstage pass to the holodeck, but better. Early access to episodes, exclusive merch that's cooler than a Ferengi's profit margin, and bonus content like personal logs. Imagine Spock, but funnier. Oh, and did I mention reactions to those very short treks? It's like watching Klingons try to line dance. Pure entertainment. So it's time to join the fleet. Do yourself a favor. Head over to patreon.com/humanisttrek. It's the cosmic investment in laughter and the kind of support that makes the universe a brighter place. Trust me, it means a lot to them. And hey, it might just brighten up your journey through the stars too. Cheers.
I assume you're loitering around here to learn what efficiency rating I plan to give your cadets.
Trainees, to the briefing room. Is that all you gotta say? What about my performance?
Aren't you dead?
I don't believe this was a fair test of my command abilities. There was no way to win.
There's no correct resolution. It's a test of character.
Now, what is that supposed to mean?
I am understandably curious.
May I ask you a question?
Who's been holding up the damn elevator?
All right, let's bring Becca back for the exciting answer to last week's Starfleet Academy Cadet Challenge. Last time on Humanist Trek, you asked us,
which series regular is not in this episode?
Okay, and Allie said Scotty, and Sarah said McCoy. And now I gotta think about the episode again.
And I think it's Kirk. Kirk wasn't there.
Fuck!
Incorrect.
It was Kirk.
It was Kirk.
The Enterprise wasn't even there.
The Enterprise wasn't
right.
even there.
You're right.
So it was all the ethnic people. I told you.
Yeah, no,
All
you were
the
right.
ethnic people.
See, what happened was I got high between when we talked about that at the top of the episode, and then we also recorded a different thing in between that and this. So that's
You know
why
what I hear right now?
A lot of excuses.
A lot of excuses.
All right. I'll record another set of zeros. Next time on Humanist Trek, we'll be reviewing Star Trek, the animated series, Season 1, Episode 15, The Eye of the Beholder. Telepathic aliens put Kirk, Spock, and McCoy in a zoo. We've done this before, sort of.
Oh, cool.
What's our question for The Eye of the Beholder?
What other Trek series had an episode of the same name?
The Eye of the Beholder?
Fuck.
Oh. Series, so
Series.
It's gonna be DS9.
It's gotta be DS9 or Voyager, I think, because I was a TNG kid, and I'm gonna really, really feel bad if it's TNG and I didn't guess TNG. You're going with Deep Space Nine? Is that your?
Eye of the Beholder. Yeah, I'll go with Deep Space Nine.
And I'll go.
Are you gonna split the room with Voyager?
I'm gonna split us again. I'll go with Voyager. And watch it be like fucking Enterprise or whatever.
Oh, which I don't remember any of the names of those.
All right, well, I've recorded our answers, and if you'd like me to record yours, you know how to do that. Head out to your social media, share this episode with your answer and the hashtag Starfleet Challenge. We'll pick out a winner. Next time on Humanist Trek, Star Trek, the animated series, Season 1, Episode 15, The Eye of the Beholder.
Diftor Hex Musma.
Kapla!
Humanist Trek is available wherever you replicate your podcasts. Follow us on all the social medias at Humanist Trek. Become a patron at patreon.com/humanisttrek. Open hailing frequencies to podcast@humanisttrek.com and visit our website, humanisttrek.com. Humanist Trek is a production of Sarah Austin Media.